go. Well, good morning and welcome to our last session of the Spring Spirituality Series. We're really blessed to have our good friend Vicki Johnson, who is a teacher here. She's also a pilgrim, a seeker. She's a doer, a traveler. She's fun, she's interesting, and we're really looking forward to hearing from her today. Please join me in welcoming Vicki.
Morning. When Jenny asked me to share my spiritual journey with you, it really caused me to step back and analyze exactly when and where it began, how I progressed, and where I am today. I was raised Protestant, Lutheran, and I'd have to tell you that the first 16 years of my life, I had more or less of a vending machine God. You know, you go to the vending machine, you put your money in, decide what you want, press the button, and hopefully you get your chips, your soda, your candy, okay? I would go to God and say, give me, give me, give me. I want. Please give me an A in algebra. Please give my family a car because we're poor. Lord, I'm scared, I'm really scared. Please give me safety as I run home from the bus stop to my house, because I lived in a very dangerous neighborhood. And I think back on that today, and I'm wondering, who wants a friend who only comes to you when they want money, when they're scared, when they want safety, or they have a problem, right? It's not a very good relationship or a friendship, in my opinion. So, when I was 16, I walked downtown with my friend, and we were going shopping, but I happened to bump into some Jesus people. Okay, this was the 70s, and the Jesus people were hippies. The men and the women had long hair, love beads, tie-dye t-shirts, blue jeans, keys, okay? So these are college students, basically, who were on fire for Jesus, and they were really sincere. They gave me a newspaper, and I read it, and I realized that I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know him. It's kind of like, let's say God is like this big mothership in the sky, really high in the sky, and I'm an astronaut with my uniform on floating around. And I know God's there, okay? I know he's there, but there's no connection between us. There is space, emptiness. So I read the Gospels a lot, over and over, and I prayed for my heart. And in time, I developed a really good connection to Jesus. So the astronaut now had an umbilical cord from the uniform to the spaceship. And I have not cut that cord my entire life. I would like to tell you, though, that if you think, I wish my life would have been perfect and problem-free after that, but that's not true, and that is not what God promises us, right? What he does promise is to stand by us, to walk beside us, and to be with us in every single experience, good or bad. Okay. But there were times in my life when I was very close to God and times when I was very far away. And there were times of deep doubt. When I asked myself, is God who he says he is? And I can give you a resounding, yes, he is exactly who he says he is. How do I know that? I've had a lot of experiences in life. God incidents, as I call them. Now, a coincidence is when things just happen randomly and they seem to fit, right? For me, a God incidence is when I see the hand of God reach down and touch my life. If it's through another person or through me to another. I want to share two situations with you that were so poignant that whenever I'm doubting, I go back and read these in my journal and it brings me back up. 2013, I retired early from MATC. I'd worked there 30 years. And I went to Mexico for 3.5 months to study Spanish. I lived with a Mexican family, Clara and Roberto Gordo. And I just led family life with them. And one Friday night, I wanted to go to the plaza to enjoy the music. And if you know Mexico, it comes alive on Friday nights. It's a celebration. So I was looking forward to going to the plaza, seeing people, when something told me to stay home. I just kept getting ready because I thought it was silly. Why stay home? It's Friday. Then the message got stronger and stronger. It was the Holy Spirit. So I'm in my room doing my homework on a Friday night, and the only people in the house, well, the two grandchildren, girls ages 10 and 12, and Clara, the lady of the house. Her husband was in an attached apartment, and he was in a wheelchair, so he could not hear or see anything. So I went down to the kitchen. Clara turned around, and immediately she's going, ugh. Okay, she's choking. I am not a medical person. I do not like medical things. But when you have to do it, you do it. So I went around her, and I tried doing the Heimlich maneuver to try to force this out. Nothing happened. Her eyes got full of fear, and her breathing was worse. So I folded her over and I hit her really hard. Nothing. And I came around and I could feel her kind of starting to go down, and I held her. I prayed, Lord, help me, I can't do this alone. And I Heimliched her again, and a piece of orange came out of her mouth. And I'm an excitable person, as you know, but I was exceedingly calm as I led her to a chair, and the room was incredibly calm. And I knew this was God working through me. If I had gone to the plaza, she would have died, because this otherwise Mexican household, which is so busy and full of people, was empty, except for the girls, who wanted to give her water, which would have caused her to drown. Okay, really strong. Second experience was a few years ago when I had heart surgery. It wasn't a big deal, it wasn't open heart, but it was just a procedure where they went through the artery to close a small hole in my heart. So they put a device in. We had just gotten back from vacation, and my husband had to go to work. So a friend dropped me off, and I was alone, and kind of nervous because a number of years ago, well, when I was 27, a great number of years ago, my mother had an angioplasty, and a piece of plaque broke off during the procedure. She had a stroke and died 2 weeks later. So this was on my mind. So I had the surgery, and let me back up. Hang on. When I've had procedures in the past, when I woke up from the anesthesia, I would speak Spanish. Now my Spanish isn't that good, so that's a phenomena I've yet to discover. So I had the surgery, and I was in the recovery room waking up, and I thought to myself, how did the surgery go? Did it work? Did it not? I'm alone. But I wasn't really alone. Because in my mind, God gave me this, like a computer screen. And you know when you call up two files at the same time and you have them side by side? On the left side, in the most beautiful calligraphy, I saw, La cirugía salió bien. The surgery went well. And on the right was Psalm 16:8. I will hold the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. And I was like, thank you, went well. That was it. So that was really cool. Never forget it. Let's go back to 2013, when I started working here. During the summer, Kiki went to Thailand, I believe, and I think I did the last session of the summer. And then Kelly asked me if I would do the fall session. And I thought, well, okay, I probably have to go to Mass every day, because my friends in Catholic school had to go every day. I just assumed in a seminary this is what would happen. So I started going to St. Martin of Tours, just to learn the protocol. I am the person that needs to do everything right. So I went to Mass every day there for quite a while. And then I accidentally walked into another room there and walked into a Bible study. So I started going to that Bible study after Mass. So things kept progressing. And I thought, well, maybe I should sit in on a few RCIA classes just for the information. In fact, when I got there, they wanted me to fill out papers. I went, no, I'm not converting. No, information only, okay? So I kept going to that. And then I read some Scott Hahn books, who was an evangelical preacher and theologian who converted to Catholicism. And I talked to a guy from my church who also converted. So to make a long story short, I ended up converting about 4 years ago. So what was the biggest factor? What was the draw for me? The Eucharist. That was the biggest draw for me. Because when I attended Mass, I was very happy. And then when it came time for the Eucharist, I could not go forward because I wasn't Catholic. So I would sit in the pew and I would watch everybody, and my spirit felt, the word sad doesn't give it enough meaning, sorrow. There was great sorrow in my spirit as I sat there because Jesus was calling me forward, but I couldn't go. I did the blessing, didn't make it for me. I needed the Eucharist. So after I became Catholic and I went to communion, I would come back to the pew and I would pray, and the only words that would come out are thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the only words that come out now, 4 years later, are thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was an amazing experience for me. The last part of my journey that I want to talk about is the Camino de Santiago. I'd heard about it. It's a spiritual journey. This is my show from the Camino. I tried to get people to go with me, but nobody could go. Time, money. It's about, I would say, $45 a day if you go. Why did I go? First, I wanted to trust God more. Secondly, I wanted to trust myself more. And thirdly, I wanted to prove my competence. And I wanted an increase in self-confidence. And that really did happen while I was there. I met people from all over the world. I even met people from Israel. And I asked them, why are you doing the Camino? They did it for physical reasons and for architecture and history. But I met people from Poland. I sat up for hours with a man from Poland one night, talking about Pope John Paul, talking about the Camino. And the question I asked people when I walked with them was, why are you doing the Camino? And have you had any God incidences in your life? So that really helped my faith. It gave me strength. Along the road on the Camino, sometimes the churches would be locked. There aren't enough priests there either. But people would put rocks on the path, forming a cross. My best day was walking 8 hours, enjoying everything, meeting people, looking at the vineyards in Spain as you're walking through the path. And I was getting so tired. And this Puerto Rican lady I met previously walked by, simply handed me a huge strawberry, which was the greatest thing, the greatest gift she could have given me because I was tired. My worst day was walking in the rain, maybe 7 or 8 hours, overshooting my hostel by a couple hours. The water was way up to here. It was difficult, and I was angry, and I was dirty. But when I got to the hostel, an Italian lady said to me, I said, this was a terrible day. And you know what she said? Vicki, this was an adventure. So many of you prayed for me during my Camino. And Kathy, you had a bunch of people waiting in the lobby to give me a hug and to send me on my way. And that was amazing. Thank you for doing that. But many people here have also prayed for me in my life and in my journey here at Sacred Heart. And I'm so grateful that all of you have become part of my family. Thank you. Kind of an amazingly personal speech.
That was just beautiful. Questions? So,
You were before accepting Catholicism, you were brought up in a Protestant family, but still you know Jesus.
Yeah.
So after coming to Catholicism, how your understanding about Jesus changed your life, or your involvement to the sacrament?
I think the sacrament made it even more precious.
Okay.
Even more precious. I've always been really tight with Jesus. You know, pretty good together. But yeah, the sacrament made a much more profound experience. And also, I'm learning about the Virgin Mary because I didn't have that. And that's my toughest part right now. And 2 years ago, a priest from Colombia, as I was driving him somewhere to get makeup to bring back to his mother, he all of a sudden looked at me and said in Spanish, "So, what's your relationship with the Virgin Mary?" And I'm like, well, I really don't have a big relationship. But something kind of weird happened, and I don't know, I consider it valid, but sometimes I think like a Latina, okay? I was praying one day to her, and I said, this is like February last year, and I said, could you give me some kind of a sign? I know it's not polite to ask for a sign, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm struggling with my relationship with her. And being February, I said, can you show me a rose? And I wasn't even thinking about Guadalupe or anything, and that whole situation with Juan Diego. I thought, well, there's no chance I'm going to see a rose in the middle of February. And various people sent me little emails and little videos, and I opened one from a priest that I had known in the past. And there are a couple photos, and the fourth one was somebody handing somebody a rose. Well, skeptic that I am, yeah, that's good. So I prayed again that night, and I said, all right, I know this is sounding ungrateful, but was this a coincidence? Could you send me something else? Okay. The next day, if you remember Father Hermes from El Salvador, I'm just looking through my emails or my texts, and this was one that he had sent quite a while ago, but I never opened. So I opened it, and there were like roses in all different places of development, a bud, blooming, purple, yellow, red. So it's like, okay, wow, thank you. I don't deserve this, I really don't. So it's really humbling. I'm still struggling with that relationship, so I'm still working on it. It's hard. I want it, but I need to know more. I did bring a map of the Camino. I'm not really good geographically, but you're supposed to start at the border of France and Spain and Saint-Jean, and then go to the end to Santiago. I just started in Pamplona because I had a limited amount of time. I only had a month. I am not very athletic, but it takes me longer, but I do complete what I start. So I would recommend the Camino for your spirit, for your body, for your relationships, because it's amazing how you will click with the people that you meet. And this, everyone has one on their backpack. The really cool part in the path was when, I can't even remember the city, but on one hand there was water that you could fill your water bottle with. And there are places all the way. You don't have to worry about carrying water. And then on the other side there was one for wine. You had free wine.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't high quality wine, but it did the trick. It got rid of any pain you might have. And the pilgrims years ago used to use this shell for eating and then also for drinking. So yeah, I have this in my house. It's very precious. Thanks. All right.